For our boy, Dojin, life has become a living nightmare. Trapped in a cycle of endless torment, he struggles daily, desperate to survive. The world has abandoned him, and survival is all he has left. School should be a sanctuary, but for Dojin, it's a suffocating purgatory. Facing the edge of despair, he decides to document his hellish reality before it's too late. As he endures the relentless pain, he pours his remaining strength into writing a final confession of this cruel school life. But the torment never ends. The bully, Lee Doyen, turns Dojin's so-called birthday celebration into a humiliating spectacle. Forced to the ground, Dojin is coerced into eating filth, all while being filmed for their twisted amusement. Facing Doyen's smug, twisted grin, the humiliation is suffocating. To them, Dojin is nothing more than a toy to be kicked around. Yet, in that pit of despair, a cold, jagged numbness begins to harden inside him. He's not just writing a final note anymore, he's etching this hatred into his soul. Just as the school bell rings, Doyen decides the fun isn't over. He tosses his slipper at the fallen Dojin, mockingly calling it taking flight. As the slipper arcs through the air toward him, a cold, dangerous glint flickers in Dojin's eyes. The end of this hell might be closer than they think. School life is nothing but a cycle of torture. Our boy is forced to endure endless humiliation and threats from Lee Doyen and his goons, while the teachers turn a blind eye, leaving him trapped in this suffocating cage of despair. The ridicule follows him everywhere, suffocating him. Under this constant mental torment, our boy finally reaches a breaking point. He feels exposed to everyone's malice, and the tension inside him finally snaps. If the world won't give him a way out, he's done playing the passive victim. Our boy sits at his desk, writing a suicide note with trembling hands. Every word drips with despair and a deep, burning resentment toward his tormentor, Lee Doyen. Ironically, while the bullies panic in fear, the scene at home is chillingly indifferent. His father is busy studying, his sister is on her phone. No one notices our boy standing on the edge of the abyss. This apathy from his own family is even more devastating than the bullying. Even at the very end, our boy tries to reach out for a final farewell, just seeking a shred of care. But all he gets is his father's cold remark, "Move, you're blocking the TV." In that moment, he completely gives up on everything. As our boy is led away by the police, he's greeted by a sea of camera flashes. The public debate over his violent retaliation is already spiraling out of control. Inside the interrogation room, our boy remains eerily calm. The police try to dig into his past and force a sense of guilt upon him, but they don't understand that for him, this wasn't just bullying, it was living in hell. As he recalls the bullies, his hatred boils over. To him, those scumbags who trampled on his life and dignity don't even deserve to be called human. He screams in defiance. Why must the victim be the one to die? When society turns a blind eye and tells him to just forgive his tormentors, his despair curdles into a ruthless resolve. He must survive, no matter the cost. The news continues to debate his case, polarizing the public. But for our boy, those memories are etched into his soul, a constant reminder of the night he finally snapped. Haunted by the echoes of those mocking voices, our boy can't find peace. He stares at his phone, scrolling through forums on how to kill his tormentors, his eyes shifting from fear to a cold, calculated madness. The lines between his hellish past and reality blur. Looking at the carnage before him, he knows there's no turning back. It's kill or be killed. The story, truly, has just begun. The nightmare of bullying is like chains binding our boy. Between physical abuse and mental degradation, he's been pushed to the brink of insanity. He's rehearsed his revenge countless times in his mind, only to be held back by overwhelming fear, screaming for a way out. Back home, our boy kneels on the floor, trembling. The fear of what lies ahead and the self-loathing for his own weakness are suffocating. He just wanted a normal life, but reality is forcing his hand to choose between destruction and fighting back. Staying passive only leads to his destruction. Fear in our boy's eyes finally gives way to resolve as he reaches for the toolbox. If he can't endure this endless humiliation anymore, he has to carve out his own way, even if it leads to ruin. He repeats it to himself. The target is only Lee Daoyun. With that cold, dark intent, our boy returns to school. Despite his heart pounding with nerves, he knows there's no turning back now. But the bullies aren't letting up. That arrogant guy is at it again, turning humiliation into a sick game, demanding a birthday cake. Facing the same old abuse, our boy's hand is already tightening around the knife in his pocket. Visions of his revenge flash through our boy's mind. Should he strike now, or wait? In that moment of hesitation, the bully senses something is off and starts demanding to know what he's hiding. The tension hits a breaking point. Facing his bullies, our boy felt that deep-seated conditioned fear kick in just like Pavlov's dogs. The mere sight of Lee Daoyun makes him freeze up. All those revenge plans he practiced all night long? They instantly vanished the moment they locked eyes. These demons had no intention of letting him go. They dragged our boy to a deserted building, pretending to celebrate his birthday, but it was just a setup for more abuse. Surrounded by their malice, Daoyun stood there, paralyzed and dripping with sweat. The bullies didn't hold back. They concocted a special drink filled with ramen, dirt, and even dirty socks, forcing him to chug it down. This wasn't a birthday party. It was a total degradation of his humanity. Faced with such inhuman humiliation, Daoyun spiraled into despair. Staring at that cup of filth, his sanity was pushed to the brink. What was he supposed to do? Should he just give in? Or was this the final straw before he finally snapped? Cornered by these bullies, our boy is forced to endure another round of inhumane humiliation. They're trying to amuse themselves by forcing him to drink something repulsive, and the lack of dignity in this situation is suffocating. The scattered cans and vomit on the ground don't earn him a shred of mercy. Instead of stopping, the bullies double down, treating our boy like a slave and forcing him to go get more drinks. His body is pushed to the limit, and the nausea makes it hard to even stand. Amidst the intense pain and panic, our boy acts on pure instinct. He decides to run. His flight is desperate and messy. Even knowing there's nowhere to hide, he can't help but question himself. Why live so pitifully? How long is this suffocating misery supposed to last? He doesn't get far before the bullies catch up, grabbing his hair and slamming him into the ground. As their fists rain down, their mocking laughter finally shatters the last of our boy's restraint. Pinned to the ground, the blinding pain blurs his vision. But as these bullies continue their rampage, the fear in our boy's eyes is being replaced by a cold, dead silence. Something is shifting deep within him. In a desperate life-or-death moment, our boy makes a choice that changes everything. Seeing his bully, Lee Daoyun, struck by a truck after the struggle, he freezes caught between the shock of survival and the realization that there's no turning back. That push opened a gateway to hell. The fear that once paralyzed him didn't vanish. Instead, this crossed line planted a seed of madness deep within his soul. Crowds quickly gather, gossiping about the scene. Nobody expected the usual punching bag to cause such a catastrophe. Standing in the shadows, our boy feels a mix of exhaustion and trembling adrenaline he's never known. Facing the judging stares and whispers, our boy loses his composure. He feels nauseous, yet undeniably clear about one thing. The urge to destroy everything has brought him a twisted sense of relief. His trembling hands reveal the turmoil within. If he hadn't pushed him, he would be the one lying there. As that brutal truth sinks in, he makes a chilling resolve. He will survive, no matter the cost. But reality hits. Even harder expulsion and total social isolation follow. Holed up in his room, our boy spirals between guilt and the thirst for revenge. He knows all too well. There's no going back to his normal life. Returning to school the next day, our boy is on edge. Plagued by guilt over the accident, he stands frozen at the classroom door, terrified that the police are waiting inside to arrest him. He peeks inside, half expecting chaos, but finds only the mundane reality of a typical school morning. Everyone is going about their business, completely unaware of the turmoil inside him. Then comes the announcement. The bully Lee Daoyun is in a coma after a traffic accident. The teacher frames it as a simple case of him running into the street, and notably, our boy's name isn't even mentioned. Our boy is stunned. He thought his life was over, yet here he is, still free. Relief and crushing guilt collide, leaving him breathless and reeling from the news. Logic dictates he should turn himself in, but the craving for a normal life is too tempting. With no one onto him yet, he finds himself selfishly clinging to this stolen, fragile peace. He tries to savor the simple things, reading, sitting still, just having lunch. But as he tears up, it's clear he knows the truth. This peace isn't a new beginning, but just the final, bittersweet moment before reality crashes down. Rumors spread like poison through the classroom. Students who used to ignore him now whisper and point, wondering if their cowardly classmate finally snapped and took his revenge on Daoyun. The sudden attention threw Daoyun into a spiral. It was terrifying, yet with his tormentor gone, the strange peace in the classroom gave him a twisted sense of relief. Maybe, just maybe, this was finally his lucky break. Just as he was starting to feel safe, the siren shattered the silence. The police had arrived. An ominous dread filled the air as every eye in the classroom turned toward him. Before he could even process the situation, his teacher summoned him to the office. Then, the clicking of cold steel cuffs around his wrists brought the harsh reality crashing down on him. Facing accusations and police interrogation, the trap snapped shut. The surveillance footage was the nail in the coffin. He was being charged with attempted murder. His dream of living a normal life had just turned into a nightmare. Standing there in cuffs, surrounded by people who despised him, Do-yoon finally went quiet. It turns out that normal life he dreamed of was just a fleeting fantasy, and the dream was finally over. Facing the tribunal, our boy avoided juvenile detention thanks to his history of bullying and intoxication, receiving 2 years of probation instead. But the school board showed no mercy, serving him with an expulsion notice, leaving him no room to argue. Back at school, our boy was met with nothing but whispers and malice. The students painted him as the villain, mocking him without a second thought for the hell he'd endured. Their cold-blooded attitude was the final straw. He returned home, desperate to lock the world out. But even within those walls, indifference lingered. Finally, on this rainy night, he decided to stop running. Anything was better than the suffocation he felt here. Rain and sweat blurred his vision as he wandered the streets. He had to endure judging stares and cruel laughter from passers-by. All he ever wanted was an ordinary life, yet even that simple hope was ripped away from him. The rainy street feels icy tonight as our boy finds himself cornered. The bullies are clearly looking to settle a score, blaming him entirely for the incident with Lee Do-yoon. Before our boy can even defend himself, the beatings start. They're relentless, acting as if their brutality is some kind of twisted justice, showing absolutely no mercy. Amidst the suffocating assault, the ringleader even steps on our boy's head. Watching this humiliating display, it's clear these thugs are reveling in the sick pleasure of crushing someone under their boots. Between the physical pain, our boy's mind drifts back to the past, the crushing despair of being pushed to the edge. He was the victim back then, so why are these demons acting like they're the ones being wronged? After the despair comes the rage. He realizes he hasn't done anything wrong, so why should he suffer this? Even through the pain, his eyes ignite with a newfound defiance. He's had enough. Faced with their violence, our boy refuses to stay silent. That desperate declaration that he was just fighting to survive shatters their self-righteous act. He knows now that fighting back is the only way out. Facing his tormentor on the ground, our boy completely sheds his weakness. He picks up a red brick and unleashes his pent-up rage. The fear is gone, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. Looking at the scum before him, our boy feels no guilt. Gripping the blood-stained brick, his eyes darken with a twisted realization. If he wants to survive, he has to become the predator. Fast forward to a rainy night at a construction site. Our boy is in trouble again. Even with a brick in hand, he's quickly overwhelmed and battered by a gang of thugs armed with pipes. The thugs have no intention of going easy on him, raining blows down with their clubs. Our boy is dazed and struggling, but his stubborn defiance only enrages them more, leading to a brutal beating. Why am I so weak? Perhaps that's the desperate cry in his heart. Even with his dignity crushed, he refuses to close his hateful eyes, clinging to the last shred of his will to resist. Just as all hope seems lost, the air suddenly goes quiet. A mysterious man appears holding a cup of ramen? Our boy couldn't have imagined that the mentor who would change his life would make such an absurd entrance. Our boy is getting pummeled by the gang. Things are looking grim. Suddenly, a mysterious guy with gray hair pops up, just trying to enjoy his ramen. He's clearly annoyed, mostly because these thugs are making a mess of his spot. The bullies obviously don't take him seriously, and start barking back. But the guy isn't fazed. He's more annoyed that they ruined his pillow. He warns them to leave, dead serious, but these thugs just don't get the hint. Since they won't listen to reason, he stops playing nice. In a flash, he's dismantling the gang with ruthless efficiency. The guy who was barking a second ago is now getting wrecked. It's not even a fight anymore, it's a beatdown. The fight escalates. He's dodging with ease, snatching their own weapons to use against them. The thugs, who thought they had the upper hand, are now just scrambling to survive as he takes them down one by one. The tides have turned, and the remaining thugs are totally broken. With a cold expression, the guy reveals his true intensity, leaving them terrified. He doesn't hold back, mocking them and showing exactly who is in control now. Facing his attackers, the silver-haired man didn't panic. Instead, he seemed amused, even trying to take their food. Before they could react, he launched a brutal flying kick, instantly taking out the leader. He kept the pressure on, pinning his struggling foe to the ground with ease. The sheer, ruthless efficiency of his fighting style shocked everyone watching, especially our boy, who realized he'd just witnessed something entirely on another level. As the remaining thugs scrambled away in fear, silence returned. Still shaken, our boy approached the man who had just saved him, desperate to break the ice and build a connection with this formidable stranger. The man couldn't care less about being a hero. He was just annoyed about his spilled noodles. Seeing his frustration, our boy realized this was his one shot at changing his fate, so he clung on, begging the man to teach him how to fight. Whether it was the allure of more noodles or a sudden interest in this desperate, expelled kid, the man finally stopped. As he continued eating, he gave our boy a cold, calculating look, marking the start of a strange and dangerous mentorship. He claimed he wouldn't teach our boy how to fight, but his dismissive attitude didn't seem like a hard no. As our boy continued to plead, it felt like this cold, mysterious mentor was just waiting to see if he had the guts to actually learn. Our boy is stunned. After surviving a brutal fight, the gray-haired mentor dismisses him as a hothouse flower. It's a gut punch, a total rejection of his resolve that cuts deeper than any physical blow. The mentor drops a cold ultimatum. If he wants to learn, he has to tag along, though he's clearly written our boy off as dead on arrival. But our boy isn't giving up. He clings to the opportunity with a desperate, bloodied obsession. Despite the desperate pleading, the mentor remains ice cold, even threatening violence if our boy continues to follow. As he walks away, our boy is left spiraling. Is he truly destined to be nothing more than a victim? Rejected but relentless, our boy shadows his mentor through the streets. Watching the man scavenge scraps meant for stray cats, a brutal, primal existence shatters everything our boy thought he knew about what it means to be strong. It's a life no different from a stray animal. As our boy grapples with whether these extreme survival tactics are actually helping, the mentor's absolute disregard for convention forces a realization. To become stronger, he must first plunge himself into the abyss. Looking at the terrified, bruised mess in front of him, our mentor feels zero pity. To him, this is just another lesson for our boy on the reality of the streets. Cornered and terrified, our boy is struggling with the sheer brutality of it all. With his teeth rattled and reality hitting hard, he's not quite ready to let go of his past self yet. The mentor watches on, impatient, like he's dealing with dead weight. He drops a cold ultimatum. Giving up already? Where's all the drive for revenge you were talking about? Our boy is caught off guard, not yet realizing that the mentor's definition of revenge isn't just small-time squabbling. The mentor even calls out the next target, the arrogant bully himself, Park Jong-hyun. The mentor hits him with a harsh truth. Everything you've done so far is just a rabbit's kick, a desperate scramble. He wants our boy to understand. To win, he has to completely flip the dynamic. Forget what happened in school. Forget being the victim. The mentor's eyes sharpen as he delivers the final command. If you were the prey before, this time, you be the lion. Watching Park Jong-hyun's arrogant face, our boy decides to play along. To catch these bullies off guard, he acts entirely submissive, even begging for forgiveness to fully sell the act of a pathetic victim. While they mock him and force a handshake, the plan is already in motion. Our boy dutifully reaches out his hand. This isn't a peace offering, it's the beginning of their nightmare. In an instant, the tables turn. Watching the usually ferocious bully pinned down like a dog, our boy's cold gaze says it all. These guys still haven't realized who the real predator is. Our boy leads them right where he wants them. Facing the inevitable fall, the bully doesn't even realize he's trapped. With a sudden scream, the tyrant finally tastes the reality of his own destruction. The revenge plan goes even better than expected. However, just as our boy thinks he can catch his breath, more trouble arrives. Facing the next malicious figure, he knows the fight is far from over. Facing pure brutality, our boy is clearly on the ropes. The purple-haired bully is relentlessly pounding him, trying to crush him into the dirt once and for all. The gray-haired mentor watches with a cold, detached gaze. He doesn't show a shred of pity for the bloody Duo-jun. He's purely evaluating the potential of his own work in progress. Despite the mocking, Duo-jun refuses to break. Yet, the gap in raw strength remains a towering wall. The mentor's condescending remark about going easy is a slap in the face to whatever pride he has left. Just when the bully thinks he's won, Duo-jun shows an odd rhythm to his fighting. He's actually mimicking his opponent's moves. It looks clumsy and desperate, but beneath it lies the survival instinct of a cornered beast. The mentor senses something shift. He grabs Duo-jun by the collar, the amusement in his eyes replaced by a dangerous premonition. This kid isn't just fighting to live. He's brewing a desperate, suicidal madness. The fight reaches a fever pitch. Duo-jun is getting pushed back, but the savage light in his bloodshot eyes only grows brighter. He ignores the taunts, staring down his attacker like a madman, ready to go down in flames. The taunts echo in his ears. Duo Jun is barely conscious, but in the final moment, his eyes lock onto the enemy with a chilling, predatory glare. It's not over yet. The real act of vengeance is only just beginning. Under the brutal training, our boy finds himself pinned down by his mentor. The gray-haired man doesn't just crush him physically, he mocks his grievances, reminding him that in this underworld, dignity means nothing. The mentor turns to leave, tossing a cruel ultimatum. He's baiting our boy to unleash his inner rage because without the resolve to kill his tormentors, he's not ready for what's coming. Watching his mentor walk away, our boy knows he can't win a fair fight with his current build. But a glint of desperation and resolve flashes in his battered eyes. Street fights have no rules to win, you do whatever it takes. His mentor's madness finally snaps something in him. When the gray-haired man least expects it, our boy strikes back. With his mouth taped shut, he's determined to give his mentor a nasty surprise. The mentor is stunned. He never expected the spineless kid to actually pull a knife. Our boy's cold stare tells the truth. He's finally learning what it takes to be a hunter. The mentor's amusement shifts to shock. He watches our boy's trembling hand, yet senses the lethal intent behind it. The sudden reality of facing a blade even from this kid gives him a cold shiver. Seeing his mentor force back, the fear in our boy's eyes is replaced by pure focus. The mentor laughs, celebrating that his student has finally descended into the abyss. Bruised and broken, he is no longer the coward he used to be. As the bullies are backed into a corner, the gray-haired mentor watches, gauging the outcome of this brutal game. Meanwhile, our boy has no intention of stopping. Facing the tormentors who once pushed him to the brink, he has only one goal in mind, to break them completely. The brutal fight erupts. Our boy seems like a different person, ruthlessly targeting his attackers' weak points. Every strike lands with a sickening thud, leaving the bullies, who once reigned supreme, scrambling to beg for mercy under his relentless assault. The bullies wail and beg for mercy, hoping to stir some pity, but their desperate pleas only incite more violence. With his foot pressed against his attacker, the body that once trembled in fear is now fueled by an overwhelming, destructive bloodlust. Memories flash by like a fever dream, the humiliation, the bullying, the laughter at his expense, all fueling the darkness in his heart. It devours his reason, transforming him into a beast of vengeance, paying back every ounce of his suffering. Watching the boy completely lose control, sliding into pure, unadulterated madness, the gray-haired man offers a cryptic smirk. This cruel hunt seems to be exactly the initiation test he was waiting for. Pressed against the ground with a blade at his throat, our boy's life is hanging by a thread. But just as the bully thinks he's won and lets his guard down, Duo-jun's eyes burn with a dangerous resolve. He's about to make him pay. With a manic grin, Duo-jun stares him down. He knows the bully is a coward deep down, and he doesn't hold back. You don't have the guts to use that blade, but I'm going to make you regret everything. Just as the bully loses his cool and goes for the kill, Duo-jun makes his move. That tense standoff was all part of the plan, the perfect distraction for a sudden, brutal strike. Wait, what stabbed into him was just a ruler. The realization hits the bully like a truck. That realistic sensation of being stabbed was nothing more than a psychological trap, and our boy fell right into it. Seeing his opponent spiral into frustration, Duo-jun sneers, "You're the coward getting spooked by a plastic ruler." Watching from the sidelines, the mysterious gray-haired man can't help but be impressed. This kid is sharper than he thought. The fight escalates into pure chaos. Park, the bully, completely snaps, screaming about being a mad dog from the baseball team. But Duo-jun doesn't flinch. In fact, he looks ready to out-crazy the lunatic. Facing off against the arrogant bully, Duo-jun delivers a chilling ultimatum. You call this crazy? Let me show you what real madness looks like. As they trade blows, the tide of this battle is starting to turn. The frantic confrontation ends in total defeat for our boy. Battered and bloodied on the ground, he's faced with a cold reality. He's not even been deemed worthy as a proper rival. Despair washes over him, as the traumas of past bullying resurface. Just when it seems like the end, the mentor offers him one final shot. Looking him in the eye, our boy nods. He's in. The mentor leads our battered boy into the dark of night. It's here our boy realizes that school bullies were just a warm-up. Real, dangerous monsters lurk far beyond the classroom. They weave through the alleys into a place he's never dared to step. As our boy looks around, a cold realization hits him. This is where the truly dangerous outcasts gather. To hammer the lesson home, the mentor unleashes a sudden, brutal strike. Watching a man get sent flying, our boy finally understands the kind of lawless, survival of the fittest world he's entering. As our boy is led deep into this dark underworld, he finally witnesses the brutal survival of the fittest. Surrounded by hostile and unhinged stares, his face is bloodied, but amidst the fear, a newfound, unsettling awakening begins to flicker in his eyes.